right, we are high atop Uptown Charlotte for your edition of the pre-race Big Three. We're talking Michigan. Before we talk Michigan, though, Buck Fever.
Yes. Why do they call it Uptown? Isn't it downtown?
No, there is no downtown in Charlotte. Everything is uptown.
So weird.
Before Buck Fever and I, Buzz Cutler, talk about Michigan, let's hear what Denny Hamlin has to say about this 42-year-old track.
I like a track where the driver can make somewhat of a difference. When his car's not handling well, he's got multiple grooves to kind of change the way his balance is on his race car. And Michigan's one of those racetracks that your car's not always going to be perfect, but you can almost make it that way by the way you drive there.
Way to go, Green Eggs and Hamlin. What is your key to winning at Michigander?
Well, my key to winning at Michigan is the same thing as Mark Martin's key to winning at Michigan, which is these long sweeping corners. Corners that Mark Martin calls huge.
It's a huge corner, you know, and the straightaways are long, but everybody's got what they've got under the hood. You can't make a big difference there. You could certainly make a big difference about those big corners. And so, you know, the opportunity is there for excelling.
Now, we all know that to win at pretty much any race, you got to be better in the corners, right?
Yes.
Because horsepower is horsepower, but handling wins racing. The thing about Michigan is these corners are so big and the racing groove is so wide that it's really going to be the difference maker in ways that it's not at other tracks. There's lots of room to pass, lots of room to maneuver, and if you can get underneath somebody, get into that corner a little bit later, get out of it a little bit more quicker, elongate those already long straightaways, you're going to have a shot at victory.
Wait, let me get this straight. I might have to trademark that. Horsepower is horsepower, but handling wins races.
That's right. You heard it here first.
Well, it's absolutely true. Getting to the apex of the corner is the key to winning at any single racetrack. There is another key here at Michigan. Because it's so wide, we have a lot of green flag racing, and we know that NASCAR never ever throws a caution at the end of a race to try and tighten it up at all. So,
no, that's $50,000 coming out of your pocket,
well,
buddy.
I said they would never do that. So, because they don't do that, we're going to have a lot of green flag racing, and I think it might boil down to fuel mileage. And it's a little tricky with the green-white checkers because there could be 3 extra laps 3 different times. So I think maybe one of these guys says screw it, does not go in for tires, actually stays out and tries to win this race. It's happened before, Kurt Busch, on fuel mileage.
Yeah, and Junior won here on fuel mileage fairly recently. And of course, if Junior's going to win, it's going to be on fuel mileage. But let's talk about the drivers. I mean, there's some guys that just come to mind instantly when you talk about Michigan, and they're all Ford drivers. Carl Edwards has a 6.6 finishing average at this track.
I think that's amazing. He has a 6.6 finishing average at this track because lately, you know, in the last year, he's been sucky. He came in, 12th last year. I think Carl Edwards is heads and tails the best guy at this track, especially since he seems to be peaking right now.
Right. Over the past 6 races of this season, he has outpointed everybody. He is the best over the last 6. Matt Kenseth also has a couple of wins and has a 10.0 finishing average, but hasn't been so fast lately.
He really hasn't.
Seems to be lagging behind his teammates Greg Biffle and Carl Edwards, so I don't know if you're going to consider Matt Kenseth at this race. Who else do you like?
Who else do I like? I like Kurt Busch. This just seems to be a Kurt Busch racetrack. He's won here before. You know, Jeff Gordon. Jeff Gordon is due. He's totally due.
Jeff Gordon has finished at this track over the past 3 races, second, and fourth.
He really is. And Tony Stewart. I want to see Tony or Jeff Carter win this year.
Yeah, and other guys who have multiple victories here are guys like Mark Martin, Ryan Newman. You mentioned Kurt Busch. Don't necessarily think Ryan Newman, unless it's on fuel mileage, is going to find victory lane.
No, I don't
think
think
so. So who you picking?
I'm going to go ahead and go with Tony Stewart. I think Tony Stewart gets off the schneid, finally gets a victory, gets it done, and starts heading towards the chase.
All right, you're going to go with Tony Stewart. You're leaving Carl Edwards for me. There's no way I can't pick Carl. Tony Stewart, Carl Edwards. Who do you pick? Put it down there. Comment right underneath this video. We'll see you on Monday with Bass to wrap everything up.
Rowdy.com. Say it like it is.
Say what like it is?
Rowdy.com.